The warning unheeded. The massive crystalline chamber of Nexus Prime hummed with energy as representatives from across the galaxy gathered for the monthly Stellar Confederacy Council meeting. The space station hung suspended between two binary stars, its transparent walls offering a breathtaking view of the cosmos beyond. Each species had their designated area, carefully designed to accommodate their unique physiological needs. Ambassador Corvex of the Zelani stood at the central podium, his 6 tentacles writhing with anxiety. His people were known throughout the galaxy as master strategists and military analysts. Their pale, translucent skin revealed the complex network of bioluminescent organs beneath, currently pulsing with urgent amber patterns that indicated extreme concern. Esteemed colleagues, Corvex began, his voice carrying through the universal translators, we must address the growing human presence in the Outer Rim territories. My analysis of their expansion patterns over the past decade reveals disturbing trends that demand immediate attention. A wave of dismissive chittering arose from the insectoid Krex delegation. Their leader, Hive Speaker Zach, stepped forward on her 8 legs, mandibles clicking in what passed for laughter among her kind. You speak of humans as if they pose some threat, Corvex. These creatures barely mastered faster-than-light travel 30 solar cycles ago. They're nothing more than ambitious primitives. The ethereal collective's representative, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline shell, pulsed with condescending blue light. The humans have established colonies on 50 worlds. The Confederacy controls over 10,000 systems. Their entire civilization could disappear tomorrow and we wouldn't notice. Corvex's bioluminescent organs flashed red with frustration. You underestimate them at your peril. Observe their industrial capacity. He activated the chamber's holographic display, showing detailed scans of human space. In 3 decades, they've transformed their home system from a single inhabited world to a massive industrial complex. Every asteroid, every moon, every piece of space debris has been converted into either a mining operation, manufacturing facility, or defensive installation. The displays showed the Sol system in stunning detail. Earth remained the population center, but Mars had been completely terraformed and was now home to billions. The asteroid belt had been transformed into a network of interconnected mining platforms and shipyards. Jupiter's moons housed massive gas processing facilities, while Saturn's rings had been turned into orbital habitats housing millions of workers. Impressive for a young species, admitted Chancellor Vorak of the Dominion of Seer, his crystalline form refracting the holographic light into rainbow patterns. But industrial capacity alone doesn't make them dangerous. The Ythrani hegemony has 10 times their manufacturing output. That's exactly my point, Corvex insisted, his tentacles coiling tighter around the podium. The Ythrani took 2,000 years to reach their current level of industrialization. The humans accomplished similar results in 30. Their technological advancement isn't just rapid, it's exponential. The display changed to show human military installations. Unlike the elegant, artistic designs favored by most Confederacy species, human structures were purely functional. Massive gun batteries protruded from asteroid fortresses. Orbital platforms bristled with weapons of unknown design. Ship construction yards worked around the clock, producing vessels at an unprecedented rate. Their military doctrine is unlike anything we've encountered, Corvex continued. They don't build ships to intimidate or impress. Every design serves a specific tactical purpose. They've studied our vessels, our weapons, our defensive systems. I believe they're preparing for a war they expect to fight against superior numbers. High Counselor Threnix of the ancient Vex Empire spoke for the first time, his voice carrying the weight of millennia. The Vex resembled enormous spiders, but their species had achieved spaceflight when most others were still developing written language. Many young species go through militaristic phases, Ambassador Corvex. They usually mature beyond such primitive thinking once they realize the benefits of peaceful cooperation. Have they? Corvex challenged. Look at their expansion pattern. They don't just colonize suitable worlds, they establish supply lines, defensive positions, and fallback points. They're not exploring, they're claiming territory in preparation for defending it. And every colony they establish makes them stronger. The holographic display showed human expansion over the past 30 years. What initially appeared to be random colonization efforts revealed a careful pattern when viewed from above. Human worlds formed defensive networks, with each colony positioned to support its neighbors. Trade routes had been established along paths that could quickly be converted to military supply lines. Captain Elena Vasquez of Earth Defense Command would have been fascinated to know that alien observers had detected these patterns. She stood on the bridge of the EDS Prometheus, humanity's newest heavy cruiser, as it patrolled the edge of human space. The ship was a testament to human engineering philosophy: no unnecessary decorations. Every surface designed for maximum efficiency and battle damage resistance. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from long-range sensors, reported Lieutenant Commander Jackson from his station. Unknown vessel approaching from the direction of the Centauri Nebula. Configuration doesn't match any known human design. Vasquez studied the tactical display. The approaching ship was massive, easily 3 times the size of the Prometheus, with elegant curves and surfaces that seemed to shimmer with their own light. First contact protocol, people. All stations to ready condition, but keep weapons powered down. Send standard greetings on all frequencies and request identification. The alien response came within minutes, transmitted in perfect English. Greetings, humans of soul. We are representatives of the Stellar Confederacy, the governing body of civilized space. We come bearing an invitation to join the galactic community. 3 weeks later, the formal diplomatic meeting took place aboard Nexus Prime. Captain Vasquez had been promoted to Admiral specifically for this mission. Her experience with alien encounters making her the natural choice to represent humanity. She arrived with a small team of diplomats, scientists, and military observers, all wearing the simple grey uniforms of Earth Defense Command. The Confederacy delegation was impressive in its scope. Representatives from dozens of species filled the meeting chamber, their exotic forms and advanced technology clearly intended to overwhelm the human visitors. Admiral Vasquez noted every detail, from the energy shields that protected some delegates to the obvious weapons carried by others. High Counselor Threnix spoke for the Confederacy, his voice modulated to convey benevolence and authority. Welcome to Nexus Prime, Admiral Vasquez. We offer your species a tremendous opportunity membership in the oldest and most powerful alliance in known space. We're honored by your invitation, Vasquez replied carefully. What would membership in the Confederacy entail? Chancellor Vorak activated a holographic display showing Confederacy territory, thousands of star systems connected by trade routes and communication networks. As a junior member, humanity would benefit from our protection and guidance. Your military forces would be integrated into our peacekeeping fleets, Your technological development would be overseen by our scientists to ensure safe and responsible progress. Your colonial expansion would be coordinated with our territorial management division to prevent conflicts with established species. Admiral Vasquez kept her expression neutral, but her military aide, General Morrison, leaned forward. You're asking us to surrender our sovereignty in exchange for protection we don't need against threats that don't exist. Young species often struggle with the complexities of interstellar politics. Hive speaker Zach clicked condescendingly. The galaxy can be dangerous for those who lack proper guidance. What if we prefer to maintain our independence? Asked Dr. Sarah Chen, Humanities Chief XENOBIOLOGIST. The chamber fell silent. The question had never been asked before in the Confederacy's long history. No species had ever refused membership. Independence is a luxury that primitive civilizations cannot afford. The ethereal collective's representative pulsed. The galaxy has no place for rogue elements that refuse to acknowledge proper authority. Admiral Vasquez stood, her team rising with her. Then we have nothing further to discuss. Humanity appreciates your offer, but we must respectfully decline. We've managed our affairs quite well for thousands of years and intend to continue doing so. The reaction was immediate and telling. Several alien delegates began speaking at once, their translators creating a cacophony of outraged voices. The humans had committed an unprecedented breach of galactic protocol. Species simply didn't refuse Confederacy membership. Perhaps you need time to reconsider, High Counselor, Phoenix said, his tone now carrying a subtle threat. The galaxy can be very lonely for those who stand alone. We're never alone, General Morrison replied quietly. Humanity stands together, and we've learned that's usually enough. As the human delegation departed Nexus Prime, Ambassador Corvex watched from the observation deck. His worst fears were being realized. The Confederacy was about to make the same mistake that had destroyed countless civilizations throughout galactic history. They were underestimating an opponent based on technological prejudice. Back on Earth, Admiral Vasquez briefed the Global Defense Council on the meeting's results. The assembled leaders, presidents, prime ministers, and military commanders from across human space listened grimly as she described the Confederacy's demands. They want us to become a client state, she concluded. Our military under their control, our expansion under their oversight, our technology development under their guidance. In exchange, they offer us protection from threats they won't specify and membership in a community that clearly sees us as inferiors. President Martinez of the Mars colonial government was the first to speak. What's your assessment of their military capabilities? Impressive, but not insurmountable, General Morrison replied. Their technology is certainly advanced, but their tactics appear to be designed for intimidation rather than actual combat. More importantly, they've never faced an opponent who could match their technological level while employing unconventional strategies. Asked Secretary General Thompson of Earth. Admiral Vasquez activated the chamber's holographic display, showing human space in all its industrial glory. We accelerate the Prometheus project. Every shipyard, every manufacturing facility, every research station focuses on military preparation. If they want a war, we'll give them one they'll never forget. The transformation began immediately. Across human space, the vast industrial machine that had built the colonies and terraformed worlds turned its attention to military production. Hidden shipyards in the asteroid belt, disguised as mining operations, revealed their true purpose as massive warship construction facilities. On Europa, beneath kilometers of ice, scientists worked feverishly to understand and improve upon captured alien technology from previous encounters with raiders and pirates. Human engineering philosophy, if it can be improved, it should be, was applied to every alien system they could study. The Confederacy, meanwhile, prepared its own response to human defiance. In the council chambers of Nexus Prime, war plans were drawn up with the casual confidence of a civilization that had never faced serious opposition. Operation Cosmic Order will be a simple demonstration of superior force, declared Fleet Marshal Zephyrix of the Dominion of Sia. 3 battle groups should be sufficient to neutralize human military capabilities. Once they realize the futility of resistance, they'll beg to join the Confederacy. Ambassador Corvex made one final attempt to prevent disaster. Esteemed colleagues, I urge you to reconsider. Human defensive preparations suggest they're not planning to surrender when faced with superior numbers. They're planning to fight, and species that prepare for war usually have good reasons for their confidence. What could they possibly know that we don't? Scoffed Chancellor Vorak. They've been in space for 30 years. We've been conquering galaxies for millennia. The vote was unanimous except for Corvex's dissent. Operation Cosmic Order was authorized, with attack fleets to be assembled and deployed within 60 standard days. As the council members dispersed to prepare for what they assumed would be a brief police action, Corvex remained in the chamber, staring out at the stars. Somewhere in the vast darkness, humanity was preparing for a war that would determine the fate of both civilizations. The Confederacy saw only primitive upstarts who needed to be taught their place. Corvex saw the most dangerous military force the galaxy had ever produced, species that had learned to turn any disadvantage into an advantage, any weakness into strength. The warning signs had been clear for anyone willing to see them. Humanity's rapid expansion, their industrial efficiency, their military preparations, their refusal to bow to superior technology, all of it pointed to one inevitable conclusion. The Confederacy was about to learn why wise predators don't attack prey that shows no fear. Asterisk. The storm unleashed 2 days after the Confederacy Council authorized military action against humanity. Fleet Marshal Zephyrix stood on the command deck of the CSS, Eternal Dominion, flagship of the largest battle fleet ever assembled for a police action. 300 warships from a dozen different species spread out across space. Their combined firepower capable of sterilizing entire star systems. All task forces report ready for initiation of Operation Cosmic Order, announced Commander Elip. The Marshal's aide, the spindly Corthran officers for eyes, tracked multiple displays simultaneously, coordinating the movements of the massive fleet. Zephyrix studied the tactical hologram showing human space. Intelligence reports indicated minimal military presence in the outer colonies. Exactly what one would expect from a species that had overextended itself through rapid expansion. Begin the operation. Primary targets are the mining colonies in the Kepler system. Once we demonstrate our overwhelming superiority, the humans will have no choice but to surrender. The first battle group, consisting of 47 warships, dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler system. The 3 human colonies there were built around asteroid mining operations, industrial facilities with minimal defensive capabilities, or so the intelligence reports claimed. Captain Vexstar of the assault cruiser Stella Vengeance watched his targeting systems lock onto the human installations. This seems almost too easy, he muttered to his tactical officer. Where are their defensive fleets? The attack began at 13:47 hours, ship time. Confederacy plasma cannons opened fire on the mining platforms, expecting to see the flimsy human structures vaporize under the assault. Instead, the aliens watched in shock as energy shields flickered to life around every human installation, deflecting the incoming fire. "Impossible," Vexter snarled. Intelligence reports indicated these primitives lacked shield technology. His tactical officer's voice carried a note of confusion. "Sir, scans indicate the shield systems are based on our own technology, but the harmonic frequencies are completely different. It's as if they took our designs and rebuilt them from the ground up." Before Vextar could respond, the human installations began firing back. What emerged from the mining platforms wasn't the chemical-propelled projectiles the aliens expected, but streams of accelerated matter moving at significant fractions of light speed. The first Confederacy vessel to be hit a destroyer from the Krex hive simply disappeared in a brilliant flash of energy. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," Vexter ordered, but the human weapons tracked their targets with impossible accuracy. 2 more alien ships died in the first minute of combat, their shields useless against weapons that seemed to phase shift through different energy frequencies. Admiral Vasquez watched the battle from the command center buried deep beneath Europe ice. The chamber was filled with displays showing every human installation throughout the outer colonies. What the Confederacy didn't know was that humanity had spent the past 2 months preparing for exactly this scenario. Asterisk. Kepler defense platforms report successful engagement, announced Colonel Martinez, the tactical coordinator. Alien shields are ineffective against our adaptive railgun systems. Phase 2, Vasquez ordered. Spring the trap. Throughout the Kepler system, asteroids that the aliens had dismissed as space debris suddenly revealed their true nature. Hidden within the rocky shells were human warships vessels that had been disguised as mining equipment but were actually some of the most advanced combat platforms humanity had ever built. The Confederacy task force found itself surrounded by enemies that materialized from empty space. Human ships emerged from behind asteroids, decloaked from stealth systems, and rose from the surfaces of planets where they had been buried under camouflage. What had seemed like a simple police action became a desperate battle for survival. Captain Vexter's ship shuddered under impacts from human weapons that seemed to adapt to their defenses in real time. How are they penetrating our armor? These weapons should be primitive. His science officer, a Zilani named Korvac, no relation to Ambassador Korvax, was frantically analyzing the sensor data. "Captain, these aren't primitive weapons. The humans have taken our plasma technology and combined it with their kinetic systems. Each projectile carries a plasma charge that disrupts our shields, allowing the kinetic component to penetrate our armor, then adjust our shields to compensate." "Can't, sir. The plasma charges are cycling through different frequencies. By the time our computers identify the frequency pattern, they've already changed to something new." This was the nightmare scenario that Ambassador Korvax had tried to warn the Council about. Humans didn't just copy alien technology, they improved it, combined it with their own innovations, and turned it into something completely unexpected. Every piece of Confederacy equipment that humans had captured or scanned had been studied, analyzed, and reverse-engineered by some of the most creative engineers in the galaxy. The battle in the Kepler system lasted for hours. When it ended, only 12 of the original 47 Confederacy ships escaped to hyperspace. The human losses were minimal: 3 damaged platforms and 1 destroyed escort vessel. More importantly, the humans had captured 2 intact alien ships, including Captain Vextar's crippled cruiser, Fleet Marshal Zephyrix, received the news while his main battle group was still en route to the Sol system. The confident atmosphere on his flagship's bridge evaporated as the surviving ships transmitted their battle reports. 74% casualties in the first engagement, Commander Alith reported, her voice shaking. The humans were ready for us. They knew exactly where we would attack and what tactics we would use. Zephyr stared at the tactical display in disbelief. How is this possible? They're barely out of their home system. How could they have anticipated our strategy? The answer was simple, though the Marshal wouldn't understand it for several more hours. Humanity had done what they always did when faced with a superior enemy. They had studied their opponent's history, analyzed their tactics, and prepared countermeasures for every possible scenario. 50 years of alien raids by pirates and criminals had given humans plenty of examples of Confederacy, military, technology, and tactics. More importantly, humans had learned to think like their enemies while retaining their own unique approach to warfare. The Confederacy fought wars of conquest and intimidation. Humans fought wars of survival and adaptation. The difference was proving decisive. On Earth, General Morrison addressed the Global Defense Council as reports flooded in from across human space. The aliens are launching simultaneous attacks on 17 different systems. Their strategy appears to be overwhelming us with superior numbers while preventing us from concentrating our forces. Classic hammer and anvil, Admiral Vasquez noted. Divide the enemy's forces and crush them piecemeal. It's effective against conventional opponents, but we're not conventional, President Martinez observed. What's our response? Admiral Vasquez smiled grimly. We give them what they want. Let them think they're winning. Across human space, the pattern repeated. Confederacy battle groups attacked what appeared to be lightly defended human colonies. They achieved initial success, destroying some installations and forcing human defenders to retreat. The alien commanders reported easy victories and minimal resistance, exactly what they had expected from a primitive species facing overwhelming force. What they didn't realize was that humanity was trading space for time. Every victory the aliens achieved was actually a carefully orchestrated withdrawal that drew Confederacy forces deeper into human space, while revealing more about their capabilities and tactics. The aliens were winning battles, but losing the war, though they wouldn't understand this until it was too late. Each human retreat was covered by hidden defensive positions that extracted a toll from the pursuing aliens. Each abandoned colony contained booby traps and intelligence-gathering equipment that provided valuable data on Confederacy military procedures. Most importantly, every engagement taught humanity something new about their enemies. Human engineers worked around the clock to analyze captured alien technology, while tactical specialists studied battle recordings to identify weaknesses in Confederacy formations and procedures. The turning point came 3 weeks into operation. Cosmic order. Fleet Marshal Zephyrix had pushed his forces deep into human territory, achieving victory after victory against what appeared to be a crumbling defense. His fleet was spread across a dozen star systems, hunting down the remnants of human resistance. When Admiral Vasquez finally decided it was time to reveal humanity's true capabilities, the transformation was instantaneous and shocking. Hidden shipyards throughout human space suddenly activated, revealing the true scale of human military production. What the aliens had dismissed as mining operations and industrial facilities revealed themselves as massive military bases bristling with weapons and defensive systems. Most importantly, the human fleet that emerged from hiding was unlike anything the Confederacy had ever faced. These weren't the crude warships the aliens had expected, but sophisticated fighting machines that incorporated the best aspects of both human and alien technology. Human ships were smaller and faster than their Confederacy counterparts, but they carried weapons systems that had been specifically designed to exploit alien weaknesses. Their armor was lighter but more efficient. Their shields were less powerful but far more adaptive, and their tactics were completely unpredictable. Fleet Marshal Efrix was leading the attack on the human colony at Wolf 359 when his sensors detected the approaching human fleet. 300 human warships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation, their weapons already charging for combat. Impossible, the Marshal breathed. Intelligence reported that humans had fewer than 50 combat-capable vessels in their entire fleet. Commander Alith was studying the sensor readings with growing alarm. "Sir, these ships don't match any known human designs. They're using our shield technology, our weapon systems, our propulsion, but everything has been modified. It's like they took our most advanced technology and made it better." The Battle of Wolf 359 became the defining engagement of the war. The Confederacy forces, spread across multiple systems and caught off guard by the sudden appearance of a massive human fleet, found themselves fighting for their lives against an enemy that seemed to anticipate their every move. Human ships moved in coordinated formations that confused alien targeting systems. Their weapons fired in sequences that overwhelmed alien defenses. Most disturbing of all, they seemed to learn and adapt during the battle itself, adjusting their tactics in real time based on alien responses. Captain Zexion of the battlecruiser Cosmic Authority found herself engaged with 3 human vessels that moved around her ship like a pack of predators hunting prey. Every time she tried to target one, the others would attack from a different angle. Every time she adapted to their tactics, they would change their approach. Asterisk. "They're not fighting like any military force I've ever encountered," she reported to the flagship. "It's like they're improvising their strategy as they go." That was exactly what the humans were doing. Unlike the rigid military doctrines favored by most Confederacy species, human commanders were trained to think creatively and adapt to changing circumstances. Every human ship captain was empowered to make tactical decisions based on local conditions, creating a flexible fighting force that was nearly impossible to predict or counter. The battle raged for 18 hours before Fleet Marshal Efrix finally admitted defeat and ordered a general retreat. Of the 300 Confederacy ships that had participated in Operation Cosmic Order, fewer than 90 escaped back to Confederacy space. The humans had lost 37 vessels, but had captured or destroyed the rest. More importantly, for the long-term strategic situation, humanity now possessed dozens of intact Confederacy warships, along with their crews, weapons, and most critically, their navigation systems. For the first time since contact, humans knew the locations of Confederacy worlds and military bases. The war was far from over, but its trajectory had changed completely. The Confederacy had expected to fight a brief police action against a primitive species. Instead, they found themselves facing a total war against an enemy that seemed to grow stronger with every engagement. Admiral Vasquez stood in the command center on Europa, studying a 3-dimensional map of known space that now included Confederacy territory. The captured alien navigation data had revealed the true scope of their opponent: thousands of star systems, billions of inhabitants, and military forces that dwarfed humanity's current capabilities. They still have the advantage in numbers, an established infrastructure, General Morrison observed. But they've shown us their tactics, their technology, and most importantly, their weaknesses. "What's our next move?" asked President Martinez. Admiral Vasquez smiled, but there was no warmth in her expression. "We take the war to them. They wanted to teach us our place in the galaxy. Time to show them what happens when you underestimate humanity." The human counterattack began 60 days after the Battle of Wolf, 359, while the Confederacy was still trying to understand how they had lost an entire battle fleet to a supposedly primitive species. Human strike forces were already moving against Confederacy targets. The first target was a Confederacy supply depot in the Rigel system, a massive facility that supported military operations across 3 sectors. The human attack force consisted of just 12 ships, but they moved with the precision of a surgical instrument. The depot's defenders barely had time to realize they were under attack before human boarding parties had captured the facility's command center. Within hours, the depot's entire stock of military supplies was being loaded onto human transport vessels, while the facility's databases were completely downloaded. Similar strikes followed across Confederacy space. Human forces avoided large military targets in favor of infrastructure, supplies, and intelligence gathering. Each successful raid provided more information about Confederacy capabilities while denying them the resources needed to mount an effective counterattack. The Confederacy's response was predictably massive and poorly coordinated. Battle fleets rushed from system to system, chasing human raiders who vanished into hyperspace before the aliens could bring their superior numbers to bear. Every time the Confederacy concentrated forces to protect a critical target, the humans would strike somewhere else entirely. Ambassador Corvex watched the war reports with a mixture of vindication and despair. Everything he had warned about was coming to pass, but he took no pleasure in being proven correct. The Confederacy was being systematically dismantled by an enemy they had underestimated, and the price was being paid by millions of innocent beings throughout the galaxy. The end came sooner than anyone expected. 18 months after Operation Cosmic Order began, human forces launched their final offensive. Instead of targeting military installations or supply depots, they struck directly at the heart of Confederacy Power Nexus Prime itself, the space station that had served as the Confederacy's capital for 3,000 years found itself surrounded by a human fleet that seemed to have materialized from empty space. The station's defenses, designed to repel conventional attacks, were useless against human weapons that phased through shields and armor as if they didn't exist. High Counselor Threnix stood in the council chamber as human marines secured the station. The ancient Vex's multiple eyes focused on Admiral Vasquez as she entered the chamber, her simple uniform a stark contrast to the ornate robes worn by the alien dignitaries. "You have one," Threnix acknowledged. "What are your terms?" Admiral Vasquez looked around the chamber at the assembled representatives of dozens of species, many of whom had never suffered a military defeat in their entire history. Complete withdrawal from human space, recognition of human sovereignty over all territory we currently control, establishment of formal diplomatic relations based on mutual respect rather than supposed superiority, and in return, asked Chancellor Vorak, his crystalline form dim with defeat. "In return, we don't finish what you started," Vasquez replied simply. "Humanity has no interest in conquest or empire. We just want to be left alone to develop as we see fit. But if anyone tries to force us into submission again, they'll face the same fate as the Confederacy." The treaty was signed within days, formally. ending the war that had lasted less than 2 years but had completely reshaped the balance of power in the galaxy. The Stellar Confederacy remained intact, but it was no longer the undisputed master of known space. Ambassador Corvex, now serving as the Confederacy's chief diplomatic liaison to humanity, stood on the observation deck of Nexus Prime watching human ships depart the station. His bioluminescent organs pulsed with the deep blue pattern that indicated profound contemplation among his people. A young Zelani aide approached him nervously. "Ambassador, the Council wants to know your assessment of future human intentions." Corvex's tentacles coiled thoughtfully around the railing as he watched the last human vessel disappear into hyperspace. They meant what they said. They have no interest in ruling the galaxy, but they've also made it clear that they won't tolerate any attempt to rule them. So peace is possible. Peace is inevitable, Corvex replied. The Confederacy learned a valuable lesson about the dangers of underestimating an opponent based on technological prejudice. Humanity has established itself as an equal power, perhaps even a superior one. From now on, any species that wants to deal with humans will have to do so with respect. The aide looked confused. Superior. But they control far fewer systems than the Confederacy. Corvex's organs pulsed with the amber pattern that indicated patient instruction. Territory is not the only measure of power, young one. The humans have something far more valuable than numbers or resources. They have the ability to adapt, to learn, and to turn any situation to their advantage. That makes them the most dangerous species in the galaxy and potentially the most valuable ally. As the years passed, Corvex's assessment proved accurate. Humanity remained within their own territory, but their influence spread throughout the galaxy through trade, technology, exchange, and diplomatic relations. The species that had once been dismissed as primitive upstarts became the go-to problem solvers for challenges that traditional Confederacy methods couldn't handle. The war that was supposed to teach humanity their place in the galaxy had instead taught the galaxy about humanity's true nature. They were not conquerors or empire builders, but they were absolutely unbreakable when defending what they valued. The lesson was learned, remembered, and passed down through generations of alien civilizations. Never again would any species make the mistake of assuming that humans were primitive simply because they were young. The galaxy had learned to respect the creatures who turned every disadvantage into an advantage, every weakness into strength, and every challenge into an opportunity for growth. The signs had been there from the beginning for anyone wise enough to read them. Unfortunately for the Confederacy, wisdom often comes at a price, and the price of underestimating humanity had been higher than anyone could have imagined. Asterisk.